The Atlanta Falcons have just defeated the Minnesota Vikings 22-6. And in this video, I'm going to do a post-game recap. Now, this video is going to be a little bit different because there's not going to be a lot of flash or a lot of, pictures shown on the screen. But just want to break down what I saw after the game. I have my notes, so let's get into it right now. Now, the number one thing I saw, for those who talked about Terry Fontenot, for those who said this dude's a terrible GM, and there's those people out there, it's time for you to apologize, because Terry Fontenot and his draft picks made a huge impact today. And I'm not just talking about draft picks from this year. I'm talking about draft picks from last year, and all his draft picks were seen on the field today. And at the end of the day, Terry Fontenot has made bad decisions. He's paid people that shouldn't have paid. He's cut people, and he's done a lot of bad decisions. But when it comes down to drafting players that will impact the game going forward, Terry Fontenot has hit 6 or 7 times in a row. And we saw that in the rookies. Jalen Walker got a sack. James Pierce got a sack. Billy Bowman got an interception. Xavier Watts got an interception. But we also see it in the second year guys. Brandon Dorlus dominant. Ruka Rororo made plays and got a sack as well. But we also see it in the star players of this football team. Bijan Robinson, people forget Terry Fontenot went out his way and drafted at number 8. Kyle Pitts had a great game. And then you can't forget about Michael Penix. Not a phenomenal game, but really made an impact on this team today. And for those who criticize Terry Fontenot, which there's a lot of you out there, you have to give him his credit and you have to apologize, because this team and Terry Fontenot showed all over the field today. Number 2, we cannot understate the impact that Parker Romo has had on this team. I remember that there was a 54-yarder that I think the Falcons were up 6 that Parker Romo needed to hit to put the Falcons over the edge. And him hitting that 54-yarder basically, I hate to say sealed the game, but it made the game more comfortable from the Falcons. They go from being up 6 to giving the Vikings the ball on the 50-yard line to being up 9, giving the ball on the 25-yard line. And I think that was a fumble the next drive for the Minnesota Vikings, which was all caused by Parker Romo, John Parker Romo. No one's going to talk about it, but he hit 5 for 5 in field goals today. He was by far, I think, one of the best players on the field. And the Atlanta Falcons, goes back to Terry Fontenot, people talking about him, they found a gem off the practice squad to help this team moving forward. Younghoe Koo will be cut. That we know that from here on out. And John Parker Romo had a tremendous impact on this game. So shout out to him for making all of his kicks, but also shout out to Raheem Morris and the coaching staff from finding this guy, identifying this guy, trusting this guy, and playing this guy. Because we know Younghoe Koo would probably miss that 54-yarder, and it would be a different situation. 3, this defense is impressive, and Jeff Ulbrich has this team rolling. And now I'm gonna be honest, there was a lot of fans out there who said this was just a easy hire for Raheem Morris. He's just hiring people he knows. Jeff Ulbrich has turned this defense up, and you have to apologize to Raheem Morris, those out there who hating on this hire. This defense is amazing. I think there's 6 or 7 sacks, plays all over the field, rookies making plays. This is a night and day improvement to what we normally see in Atlanta Falcons defense. This defense won the game today, and it's finally refreshing to see a team in a Falcons defense that we can rely on when the offense is not rolling. And I'll talk about the offense going forward not rolling, but it's a good thing to see this defense up and running. And it wasn't by just one person going crazy. It was by committee. Everyone ate. That's a sign of a good defense, when your defensive coordinator is putting anyone in positions to make plays, and everyone made plays today. This defense was amazing and really did limit a Kevin O'Connell offense. I know a lot of people are going to say Kevin O'Connell. He limited a Kevin O'Connell offense to 6 points. That's big. Next point. The run game. I know a lot of people are going to talk about Zach Robinson. Zach Robinson did not have a great game. But the run game is back. The Atlanta Falcons ran for over 200 yards. And a lot of people are going to say that's Bijan. Bijan he's an amazing back. Tyler Algier also ate a little bit. But I think scheme-wise, the run offense, or the offense, the run part of this offense was schemed pretty well today. And the run part of this offense that they needed is back. Now we have to figure out the other part, which is explosive plays, which I'll talk about later. But our run offense is back. And whether you give that credit to Zach Robinson or the offensive line blocking a little better, the run game for the Atlanta Falcons is back. And we were able to rely on them. It did ultimately get shut down in the red zone, which leads me to my next point, or a point in the future. But the run offense is back. Sixth point I want to make: Bijan Robinson is him, and it's kind of reassuring that when everything else goes wrong, you can just hand it to a running back, and he makes bad plays right. Now, I'm not just saying we have to rely on him throughout the rest of the season. We have to figure out this offense. But Bijan Robinson was clearly the best player on the field, and he is clearly, people are going to say this is controversial, he's clearly the best running back in the NFL right now. He made plays all on the field, and it goes back to Terry Fontenot drafting this guy at 8 when a lot of people were like, why are you drafting him so high? Bijan Robinson is more than an impact player. He's the heartbeat of this team, and that showed today. Now, moving on to some negatives or some things that the Atlanta Falcons need to work on. A lot of people are going to say the offense. I'll get to that last. That's my last point. The Atlanta Falcons must continue to play these rookies. These rookies stepped up in big plays. They all made impact plays, but you can tell they're still rookies. There were some plays that Billy Bowman and Xavier Watts made, that long pass to Justin Jefferson that was on Xavier Watts, who bit on an out route, and then Billy Bowman, who got beat a couple times. One time toward the end of the game that could have given Minnesota not the lead, but they could have come within possession or 2 points. The rookies need to continue to play. They're great. They're impact players, but they're still rookies. And the more repetition that these guys get, the better they will be in the future. Second thing, we have to figure out cornerback depth for A.J. Terrell. The offer came in and did a pretty decent job. I think Jeff Ulbrich, that was a result of Jeff Ulbrich kind of playing more zone, playing it back. And that's why we didn't see as many sacks in the second half as we did the first. But we have to figure out what's going on with A.J. Terrell, and we have to get more cornerback depth. That is a huge blow for this Atlanta Falcons defense. If that's C.J. Henderson, if that's starting D. Alford, if that's picking up some guys off of waivers, we have to get more cornerback depth, especially in the A.J. Terrell injury. Lastly, this Zach Robinson offense. A lot of people are going to say it's terrible, and I agree. It wasn't the best showing for Zach Robinson, but I also think there is some silver lining. The run game was actually really good today. Bijan Robinson in this offensive line ran for 200 yards without Caleb McGarry. No one's going to talk about that, but I thought that Zach Robinson had some variation in the run game. He didn't just call outside zone. I saw a little bit of inside zone, a little bit of gap scheme, and it was honestly being able to run the football again was actually very reassuring for the Atlanta Falcons. Now they need to work on deep shots. I think that's kind of twofold. I think number one, doesn't look like Drake London is back 100%. Two, I think that Raheem Moore was just kind of playing it safe because they knew their defense was playing so well. So they didn't allow Zach Robinson to call a lot of plays. It looked like he was limited. And three, I think Zach Robinson still lacks creativity in some ways. And so we could see this in the games. We can see this in the flow of the games. Zach Robinson needs to pick it up, plain and simple. But I also see there is plays to be made out there. The Falcons also kicked themselves in the foot a lot of times, and they had a lot of penalties and a lot of drives that were stopped, not by Zach Robinson play calling, but by either a sack or a penalty. So Zach Robinson didn't call a great game. I don't think he's as bad as people are saying. I think the run game was pretty good, but he needs to figure out a way to generate explosive plays with explosive receivers. And I think that will come with Darnell Mooney coming back. People forget this is his first game back. Drake London getting back healthy. He looked not healthy. And then still just trying to rely on this offensive line. I don't know if they called it tight just because they didn't trust this offensive line or what. Last thing I will say, Zach Robinson didn't have a great game. But I also think that this was just the flow of the game. And Raheem Morris kind of limited Zach Robinson some of his play calling. You got to look to the other side. And a lot of people are going to say, well, Kevin O'Connell, he had a lot of players missing, this, that, and the other. The Vikings were limited to 6 points in the first half with majority of their players in. I know they didn't have their starting left tackle, and I know the Falcons defense was going crazy, and you can say what you want to say about J.J. McCarthy. But the Vikings, with arguably the greatest play caller in the NFL and the coach of the year last year, only scored 6 points in the first half. That's all I'm saying. So Zach Robinson didn't call a great game, but Kevin O'Connell didn't either. And a lot of people are going to say, well, it's because he was missing players. He did have Justin Jefferson, the best receiver. He did have a running game with Jordan Mason. And I'm forgetting the other guy's name. He did have a quarterback who played well against the Bears that last half. A lot of those plays that they ran were very vanilla too. And you can see the Vikings fans getting frustrated, not because of how the Vikings played, but some of the play calls they had. And this is the greatest coordinator, the greatest offensive mind in the NFL today. So Zach Robinson didn't call the game well at all. But I will say this, Kevin O'Connell didn't either. And I think that is a result of the game and what was required. This was a nitty-gritty win for the Falcons, and I'm glad they won. A lot of people are upset that how they won. You can't be upset winning an NFL game on prime time against a good opponent. So, good win for the Falcons. Here's another big thing. They move on to the Carolina Panthers, who didn't look great. The Falcons defense is good, and I think this will be reassuring if they get a win against the Carolina Panthers and they go 2-1 heading into a game against the Washington Commanders, who also didn't look great their last game either. So, good win for the Falcons. Way to take care of business. There's a lot to break down, a lot to unpack. A lot of people are going to be roasting Zach Robinson, and that's fair. But I also want to say I think there was ebbs and flows of the game, and is he been calling a good game now? But I also think some of that was the ebbs and flows of the game. So, if you agree or disagree, leave a comment down below. Let me know how you feel about the second Falcons game where they took a dub. And if you want to see more videos like this, check this one out right here where I break down who's gone. Because John Parker Romo is a stud. And I think was probably one of the biggest positives and biggest reasons why the Falcons won the game of this game. So, please do me a favor also. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, turn on post notifications. And if you want to see, I already said that. And like always, peace.